Welcome to Amazon Answers. I'm Jared, and today we are discussing Wonder Woman's portrayal in Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. What's up, Cameron? So here's the interesting thing about this version of Wonder Woman. So she was in a, needless to say, very controversial video game, but this version of Wonder Woman is like the highlight, the universal highlight for the game, for this one game, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, they actually had a pretty good portrayal of Wonder Woman, to the point where if I were to redo this game, you could keep the vast majority of it and then just make it a Wonder Woman game and check it out. The story still works actually pretty decently. So let's move with this. Hey, what's up, X-Men? Thanks for gifting more memberships, dude. You don't have to keep doing that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. I really appreciate that. But so for this thing, the interesting thing about this portrayal is that, first off, it is like Diana. The only ding that this portrayal kind of has is there are some parts of the design I don't like that well. And I'll bring this up. So I'm going to actually show off a little design that I saw on Twitter recently that I think works, except for like some parts of it. All right. So let me show this thing right here. All right. So this came across my, show this off. So we have here. So the one on the left, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Hang on. So this is the portrayal of her in the game. It's not bad. Let me put it that way. It's not like I'm not that big of a fan of it. The only problem with this is I would keep the covering on the chest area, because I think that just looks great the way it is with the logo. But I think that the design would have been better if they had gone with the with the hair down, as opposed to like in that little tight bun. As much as it proves that Diana have a video game they tried. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the thing about it, it's like, yeah, she straight up acts like Diana the entire time of the game. I did like the Wonder Woman portions. It's like the new, it's like it's in the new 52 type of deal. Yeah, exactly. So the way the Wonder Woman is used in this is so the idea of the game, yeah, it's still respectful parts of it. Yeah, exactly. So the way she's using the game is, yeah, character-wise, perfect. Power-wise, one of the weakest in Nerf versions. Can't even fly. Got ragdolled by a clone. She didn't get ragdolled, though. No, she actually fought pretty tough against Superman. And the implication, if you look at that fight on Superman, she doesn't necessarily get like bashed. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, NJ. You could argue that she got defeated by Superman because Superman was a augmented clone from Brainiac. So it's not. And so admitting that like she like got like taken out by Superman does not necessarily hold it. And she was holding back. Yeah, exactly. Because remember, the only time that she stopped holding back was when she stabbed him with the kryptonite. So the thing about Wonder Woman is, as far as she knows, these are still her friends. So throughout it, she is being the like, what's the word? She is being the like angel on the shoulder, if you will, saying, no, they can still be restored. I'm not going to let my friends get killed. So that's kind of the role that she like plays. But then what happens is, as it goes on, you start to see like she even like hammers like kryptonite into her shield, and everyone's like, no, like you need to take him out. You need to actually like take Superman out, otherwise we're all gonna die. But I love where King Shark is standing in her way, and she's puts her hand on his shoulder and just scoots him away. That's great. Remembering what I can from this game, didn't she butt heads with Waller? Yeah, all the time. Because when Waller shows up in the Hall of Justice, actually, I love when Wonder Woman shows up in the Hall of Justice and like bodies the Suicide Squad, as she should, and then it's like, Waller shows up and basically says, hey, your friends are killing the very people they swore to protect: the Flash, Superman, Batman, Wonder. Even what's kind of funny, when she said it mentioned there's some mad Super Wonder vibes in this game. Partly that when she says Superman, that's when Diana turns. And it's like even when Diana and Clark first see each other, that is like they have that pause moment when they're like is it you or something like that. I know it's the clones thing, but still it's kind of nice. I prefer that. I like that. But Wonder Woman is the best melee combatant in the Justice League, and Batman himself admitted it when they were captured by the Injustice League. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Robert? But yeah, so with this version of yeah, you did. Interesting how that works. So what's cool about this is that then what you essentially get is you get throughout the game, she shows up randomly, and at first she doesn't respect the Suicide Squad, which she wouldn't. I love the line where she says, "I took an oath never to strike someone out of anger. You four are seriously testing my resolve." And she throws them in, she puts them in a cargo container and just tosses it into the Daily Planet. I love that. That's one of my favorite things. It's like they get the whole, because that's what you can do. We know that Diana, again, would never strike someone out of anger. And her making that, like, I hesitate to say threat. It's not a threat, but it's like, that's the way you kind of make a joke, but make it so it doesn't undermine the character themselves. That's why I kind of dig this version. So, and this was also the version that uses both the lasso and the sword and the shield pretty well. And even when she takes out the sword and the shield, she's mostly only using the shield to fight Superman. She only takes out the sword when it's like she doesn't have a choice. And I'm like, that is 100% like what I have always said about Diana. Harley had a big crush on her, which was cool. Yeah, I'm like, I could definitely see that. That definitely works. And then let's see what else with this. So then you have Wonder Woman, basically, essentially also learning to, like, I guess, trust the Justice League or something like that. But she fights. We get the fight with Superman, which what's kind of cool about it is it's like during the escort mission. Yes, there is an escort mission in this. It is kind of cool where occasionally you'd hear like thuds and like the ground quaking because you have Superman and Wonder Woman in this titanic battle throughout Metropolis. And you can even see like them in the background. You can even see them in their battle. Superman like shooting her with heat vision, Wonder Woman like ramming him. It's actually really cool. And they have this awesome fight. And then what's kind of interesting is like the squad eventually like teams up with her or like goes to defend her against Superman. And that's when Wonder Woman, before Superman can take out the squad, Harley had both admiration, slight romantic crush, and one he was respectful crush. Yeah, exactly. Before they can kill Wonder Woman, I mean, before Superman can kill the squad, she stabs Superman with a massive shard of kryptonite, and it doesn't kill him, even though it goes into his chest. And that was my first clue that this is not exactly, that something's like out of like, that something's off about this league. Now, you could say it was because of Brainiac's augmenting or the clone thing, but either way. So after they so then Wonder Woman essentially it takes the brunt and gets like killed by Superman. But here's the thing about this. It's the Clay original Wonder Woman. There's like 80 different ways they can bring Wonder Woman back if they do a sequel to this game. Well of Souls is one of them. Hey, what's up, Parker? Yeah, no, long time no see, man. But yeah, but there's any number of ways they could bring Wonder Woman back if they wanted to do a sequel to this. I can name two off the bat right now. The Well of Souls, which I don't know if it exists in the Arkhamverse yet, but this is the way to show it. I mean, we haven't seen Themyscira yet. And the second part is what you can do is have like the gods. Now, in this, it is the Zeus origin of Wonder Woman. So at least according to the Superman, can't she even fly in this? I don't know. We never actually see her fly. I think she can. It's like in the Snyderverse where like occasionally she can fly, but she can also jump. I would assume it's that. So with the Zeus origin, it could be that like she doesn't die, she just gets brought to Elysium, and then she returns back because the world still needs her. So there's that, again, even though she is like the only Justice Leaguer but when she was dying, there was a little bit of clay. That's why I'm like, they could just go back and forth or something like that. But the point is, there's any number. There's like, she is arguably the easiest one to bring back. Like legitimately, the easiest squad member to come back in Suicide Squad. It's relatively easy. I'm pretty sure they plan on bringing her back when the later seasons and how to continue. Yeah, exactly, Robert. I would imagine so if they had gone past that. I do know that what they had originally planned is to reveal that Robin was not actually killed as well. So there is that. I remember vividly last time you talked about this version of Wonder Woman, you mentioned in one of your videos that this version is quite accurate to the character, but then again, yeah, it is. Like her characterization is very much like accurate to the like classic version of Diana, that you could like work with that. It's one of the closest portrayals of Wonder Woman that I have seen in a long time in outside media. I have literally no like complaints about how she acted. My only complaint is I would have preferred her hair be down, because I'm just not used to Wonder Woman having her hair all up in that tight bun. But besides that, if the only complaint think about it this way, people. If the only complaint I have about a portrayal of Wonder Woman is her hair being up, that's how you know you did something right. And it's like, this entire game, ironically, is a tribute to Wonder Woman, because literally everyone talks about how great Wonder Woman is. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's actually really interesting. The biggest question is which one. The Robin was supposed to come back in like season, like the Lawless season, but obviously because they didn't have time to do all that stuff, that they just said just get through what you could. They didn't have time to bring back Robin, but again, it's easy to bring him back. Her soul is immortal in the Clay origin, so easily, really, in the Zeus origin too. Yeah, there's literally there's nothing that's objectively keeping them from bringing her back to life. That's the interesting thing about this. I prefer the Clay origin. I think I explained in a comment, but yeah, this is the more synergistic type with the films I'm not mad about. Yeah, and it's like, even now they could, I guarantee you, in future portrayals of Wonder Woman, they'll go back to the Clay origin, because now even the Clay origin is the canon origin now, according to a new history of the DC universe. Design could have been much better. Wonder Woman pants is not Wonder Woman. I don't have a problem with Wonder Woman with pants, though. The other thing that I maybe would have liked, because she has a shoulder pad on one shoulder only, I would have liked, from a synergy purpose, if they put it on the other shoulder as well. But besides that, I'm like, okay, that would have actually worked really well. But it's like everything else I really, really, really liked. I liked the use of the lasso of truth, how it could break through the Brainiac brainwashing. And it would have been actually kind of interesting if for one of the Brainiac boss fights, he turned into Wonder Woman. But again, he didn't have a chance to like clone her or like absorb her DNA like he did with the rest of the league. So you couldn't necessarily do that. But the way I would have done this game as a Wonder Woman game is also don't make Batman the bad guy in this. Don't do that. What I would have done is have where Wonder Woman and Batman escape. You can still have the Suicide Squad be in the game, but it's primarily a Wonder Woman. You can call it Wonder Woman Saves the Justice League. There you go. And Wonder Woman is going through consistently trying to save the league members as the game go on. What do you think of the voice actor they chose for this version? I think it was a good choice. She got the and particularly in the emotional moments when she's like talking to Flash and she says, Flash, how do I stop this? Tell me how, Barry. That like emotion in her voice was very, very, very well done. At least in my opinion, I think. A Wonder Woman and Batman team up. Kind of, yeah. Again, no Wonder Bat though. And you could have like the missions are her trying to like disrupt the league members, like hurting civilians, or like the game still happens, but it's like let me put it this way: besides Batman being like a good guy now, the rest of the game proceeds as done. Obviously, Batman is not shot by Harley Quinn or anything like that. But you also make it more obvious that the League are clones. And then once Diana discovers that they're clones, that's when she takes out the sword, because she goes, I don't have to worry about killing my friends, and you're too dangerous at this point. Are you happy with Millie Alcock as Supergirl in the live action, or would you prefer Sydney Sweeney? If we were doing Power Girl, it would be more Sydney Sweeney. But Wonder Woman without pants is way more Wonder Woman, though. Pants remind me of crappy Injustice version. Yeah, I get that, but it's like they've had good versions of Diana with pants before, like Wonder Woman Odyssey or stuff. Do you think any of Wonder Woman's villains would be in the Suicide Squad, or would Raleigh not bother? I think she would. Like I could see like Cheetah being on the Suicide Squad. Honestly, that would be honestly a pretty interesting idea for them to go with. As a Wonder Woman fan, I hate Wonder Bat or Super Wonder. I don't like Aqua Wonder either, or Rhino Wonder. It feels cheap. Just like she as a woman doesn't mean she needs to date all the men in the league. Yeah, I'm more for Super Wonder, but that's just because, again, refer to any episode of Super Wonder Legacy. It's not about her date. In fact, the episode that's coming out tomorrow is all about the refutation of the cheerleader and quarterback argument that Britt and I encounter all the time. So I would check out that show. It kind of explains more of why the Super Wonder relationship works specifically. But it's cool if you're not that big of a fan about it. It's all good. But the voice of Diana is there for a side. She was Talia in some of the animated movies, Jane Foster, Marvel's Avengers, and a lot of Young Justice characters. Yeah, she was great as Wonder Woman. I liked her, like she got like that sweetness of Diana, but also the toughness of Diana. I prefer no Wonder Woman in a team of villains because I know for a fact they would get disrespected. I mean, Wonder Woman rogues have been in the Justice League, in the Suicide Squad before, and they've been fine. That's not that much of a problem. It's not that big. Not all of them would be disrespected. There are plenty of people in the squad that are respected. Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of Wonder Woman rogues that have been on the league, on the Suicide Squad, that are done properly. So that's what. That's the part where I would be like, I disagree slightly with that. But yeah, in terms of like the like power level of this Wonder Woman, I always felt that she like lost because she was holding back against Wonder Woman, so against Superman. So it's like, just go off of that if you're upset that like she got defeated by Superman. But that's only because, remember, if that were regular Superman, she would have actually won, because Superman was like immune to kryptonite at the time, and she stabbed a giant ass shard right through his chest, like a big rock, essentially, right into his chest, and even pushed it inside his body. Yeah, if that were regular Superman, like not augmented, Wonder Woman would have won. So it's like that's why I don't mind that, because it's like, yeah, that's like a powered up version of what's your favorite Suicide Squad one? That's a good question, Robert. I like the original Ostrander run. I'll give it that. I'm not against the new 52 run. But if I really have to pick one, yeah, I haven't really read a lot of other Suicide Squad runs, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the original Ostrander run. That's my favorite, the OG one, because I think that was like one of the most fun things. Yeah, the OG run is like one of the best runs and stuff, and that's what James Gunn based his Suicide Squad movie off of, because he was a big fan of that run. And I'm like, when I read it, I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that. I'd say post New 52, my favorite is the Rebirth run. Rebirth run I heard was pretty good. Do you think it's possible for us to get a Wonder Woman game at this point in the future? Or do you think it's not possible? It's possible. It's 100% possible. The thing is, what you guys have to understand is that when it comes to any portrayal of Wonder Woman outside of the comics, this is when the contract with the Marstons comes in, which the contract in and of itself is not a bad thing. The thing about it, it has stopped a lot. Think about it this way. It would stop. It would, if the contract did not exist, a lot more crappy portrayals of Wonder Woman would exist. But when you get to, and so it's like, it really depends. As far as like, do I think that like a Wonder Woman game could show up in the future? Yeah, of course I do. 100%. I think a Wonder Woman game will happen. Honestly, what would be kind of an interesting thing to start with is if the Lego Batman game is that like fixed, you could do a Lego Wonder Woman game and then just have like have that be like the introduction to all of her world and stuff, because a lot of people actually became Batman fans because of Lego Batman. So if you actually do it right, you could actually introduce a lot of people to Wonder Woman through a Lego game. The one thing keeping a game from being made is the lack of interest from someone giving a good pitch or any legitimate interest. Because here's the thing again, not there, because yes, Wonder Woman is popular as a character, as a concept, but there are not a lot of people of like creatives working now or studios that want to make a Wonder Woman game. Because as Robert and I have said many times on the show, look, the thing about it is like, the thing about it is, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So the thing about it is that you need a pitch in order for something to happen. And the thing about it is that most creatives, I would say nowadays, yes, they are Wonder Woman fan. They like Wonder Woman. They respect her as a character. But in terms of creating content, if you will, for lack of a better term, a lot of them prefer like Superman or particularly Batman, because with Batman it's a lot easier. Like, put this way, it's easier to make a movie or show for Batman than like any of the other characters. That's why we get so many Batman products. But it's not necessary. Now, I'm not saying that like that's the way it should be. I'm just saying that that's like, from their perspective, what that is. There are a lot of good arcs in the comics. So why not take? Yes. Oh no, NJ, I get it. But these are the people that think that Wonder Woman does not have good stories because they don't do the research into the character. That is the interesting. That's the key thing about it. NJ. There's not enough people that actually understand Diana or actually like the character enough to do the research into the character's lore. Now, here's the thing. I think it's honestly good that like we're getting like the movie and the show, the Paradise Lost show, because what that will do is expose more people into like liking Wonder Woman and like seeing and like getting more people into the character. So let's see how things look when the movie and show come out, because if those come out and they like lead to like a massive influx of Wonder Woman fans, you better believe there will be more Wonder Woman content. Like I said, you can't force a game into existence. Yes, exactly. Because I'd rather have few games, but quality games, than like 80,000 games, but they all royally suck. So, because trust me, that will do much more damage to the character if you just force in stuff because you want quantity-wise more Wonder Woman stuff. So, unfortunately, we're in this position, but it's one of those positions that, you know what? It's not the worst position to be in. That's what I'm gonna say there. Would you like if Paradise Lost is inspired by Historia? If they go with the Amazon, or if it's supposed to tell the origin of the Amazons, yeah, actually, I would dig that, because that is like one of the most solid like depictions of like the Amazons and like the origin story for the Amazons, I think, in a very long time. Like, really, it is like, if I had to point anyone to, like, give me an origin for the Amazons, it would be Gods and Mortals or that. And then, as much as I want to deny it, sexism and misogyny play a role in it too. We all remember how Dan, I hope I was using the right person, felt about. Yeah. Dan DiDio was the one that was upset that the Wonder Woman movie did so well, because he thought that would mean that she would overshadow the male characters like Batman and Superman. And I go, bro, what difference does it make? You are still getting the money. It's like, characters change in popularity all the time. You should know this. It's like, if Wonder Woman, if a character that traditionally has not been as popular as the other two is all of a sudden getting a ton of positive press, that's a good thing. You shouldn't be upset with that. It's extremely hard to believe that there are no, I'm not saying there are no Wonder Woman fans, but I'm saying is that there's not enough in the decision-making place of it. Because remember also, NJ, Monolith did not want to make a Wonder Woman game. They were forced to by WB Games. That's what people keep forgetting. It wasn't like they all had this passion for Wonder Woman and they wanted to make a game. Anyone that's telling you that is lying, because from what insiders have said, no, it's like what happened was they were making a game, and Robert, you can correct me on this, but I think that they were already making a game that got canceled, and then they were like, they needed a game product to make, and then they were like, just make Wonder Woman. It's essentially like, the reason why I think they picked Wonder Woman is because of what Monolith was known for making, which was the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor games. So they were probably like, okay, make something like that, but for Wonder Woman. So I understand to a degree where they're coming from with that. So that's where I'm like, okay, I get it to a degree. I don't necessarily like, so it's like anyone that now I'm sure that they became passionate about the character as development happened. There's too much of this going around that it wouldn't have, that they all hated the character, but it was mostly, I wouldn't say it was mostly like that. Yeah. They made the game, it got canceled. Most of the crew quit to form their own company, and they needed a game to fill the void. Yeah, exactly. So they had to hire people too. They needed an IP to attract attention. And Wonder Woman, yeah, that would have attracted, that did attract attention, as we can see here. So it's like, that's the thing there. Wonder Woman is not that good for making a game. No, she is. You can make a game for Wonder Woman and make a lot of money, because Wonder Woman is more popular than people think she is. It's like the thing about it is you just need the proper product in order to do it. Look what happened with the 2017 movie. Now, granted, then you had 84, which that in and of itself was because you lost what made the first movie great, and that was essentially what happened was you took away part of the more mature influence of the movie and tried to make a clone Christopher Reeve movie, and then tried to push Steve so much. Isn't it kind of funny how whenever they try and push Steve as a character, it ends up flopping? That is very interesting how that turns out. I know, but not really for a game. No, for a game, I think that she could actually be popular enough for a game, because there's plenty that you can do with Wonder Woman. For let me put it this way, the Wonder Woman game, if it had actually been executed by Monolith, that could have actually been really well. By the way, I flipped through the Reaper Suicide Squad. What I love best about it is that cement the idea is Harley was made same. She'd be more dangerous. Yeah, that's actually really cool. It's also scary smart. Absolute Wonder Woman making great sales. Yeah, that in and of itself is, and it is a good it's an aid to the character. Let me put it to you that way. Wonder Woman needed Absolute Wonder Woman to sell so well, particularly in light of the utter travesty in sales that is the Tom King run. So you definitely needed that. It's just you now need that to translate to other parts of Wonder Woman. I bet if they made a Wonder Woman game, they definitely put Steve in the game. Not necessarily. I mean, this one was going to take place on Themyscira exclusively. So I don't necessarily think that they would have for Steve. Well, it also depends on what type of Steve are we talking about. Are we talking about the like post-crisis, like brother slash father figure, or is it like, are you talking about like the Steve Trevor that like is like the rebirth stick in the mud one that Tom King seems to like? So there's like, so that's the interesting part of like that whole like topic there about that whole thing. But yeah, it's like it's like, don't discount like how popular Wonder Woman is as a character. Now, she is of the Trinity, I would argue she is the least popular of the Trinity, but that doesn't mean if you made a game that it wouldn't sell. Like I'm like very much against that like way of thinking. What other like questions do you guys have about Wonder Woman, particularly in Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League and stuff? Because there's plenty that we can talk about with that. And I mentioned again, the design is fine, except for I would have liked the hair down instead of like up like that. So that's my one like issue with it, where I'm like, okay, you could have improved this a little bit. Well, I guess she needs a more marketing moves like Batman Superman to get more plays. Yeah, exactly. That is true. She definitely needs more media, and she deserves it. See, here's the thing. Here's the ironic part about how DC treats Wonder Woman, because they keep treating her like she is like this big character. She's like the third man with the Trinity. She's the most iconic female character ever. She is. But you don't treat her as such. If she's really that like, if she really is that popular, stop treating her like she's a D-lister. Do you think they would have replaced Diana as an alternate universe version instead of resurrecting the one that died? I think they would have resurrected it. I honestly think they would have, because that's like the easiest thing to do. And it's like, even with this, it's like, assuming that the clone thing was like in there the whole time, it's like, it's like you could have done it where like she was resurrected, and then it's like they don't show you that until like there's a mission to board the actual skull ship to rescue like the Justice League, and then like you get like pinned down, if you per se. And then as like the battle portrays and goes against you, that's when like Wonder Woman shows up and saves your asses. Yeah, so I don't think that like they would have what's the word, like they would have like made it where like it was a multiverse version of Wonder Woman that replaces the main one. Although they could have used that to have a different character design, even though they could still do that if they brought back Wonder Woman, have it where like she's in new armor and it's a more classic looking design for like her character. So there's like a lot that you can do. Jess, so what other questions do you guys have about this? Okay, so let's see. I believe alongside the Wonder Woman movie and Paradise Lost show, hopefully making good numbers, we'd get a Wonder Woman game or anime show. Yeah, I would say so. I would say if the show and movie are good, I think the order of operations, NJ, is the Wonder Woman animated show, because that's easier to make. And then you get like the game per se. That's the order of operations that I would say would work. And then it's like, and it's like for 2026, Britt and I said on the show, and I'll tease you guys on. We both say that because we're in Wonder Woman's 85th year as a character, we're approaching the 85th anniversary. That would be when it would be like the ideal time to either to announce or just like replace King with a new writer. You don't even have to restart with a number one. Just say like, hey, for like marketing reasons, for like the 85th anniversary of the character, let's start a new run. It's like, remember, King started his run in the 800th issue of Wonder Woman, so it's not like out of the realm of possibility that they could go in that direction. And a Teen Titans movie with like James Gunn. See, I'm still waiting to see if the DCU has like legs to like stand on its own, because we'll see. We'll see. Well, it's like we'll honestly see what happens with that. And I think a Wonder Woman movie is a more guarantee of success than a Teen Titans movie. I'm sorry. She is the bigger character than Teen Titans. Like, that's an objective like fact according to sales. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have when it comes to like any of like Superman, Wonder Woman, mainly Wonder Woman, please. Wonder Woman's like Wonder Woman's like portrayals in this game, or any other like things about the character. Because there's any number of things, but it's like with this game, I feel like again, it's like this way. If Rocksteady wanted to make a Wonder Woman game, that would actually be really cool, and they could say from the makers of the Batman Arkham series, you could do that now. And it's like, here's the thing about this: this was the best, like this was the one part of about Suicide Squad that like everyone admits was like the best part of the game. So it's not like you're having like you're taking a part of the game that was like controversial and then like going off of that. And a boss battle with Cersei would be epic in her soul. Yeah, exactly. You can even make it where like Cersei, you could have Cersei bring Diana back because Cersei sees that like, hey, if Brainiac takes over or in any way like that, that's going to like make it impossible for like me to exist. So like my existence is threatened. So let's actually like team up and solve this, because otherwise it's like we all die, and essentially. But it's like it's one of those things where I'm like, also the other thing I do now, here's the thing that everyone has to understand: if you want a game on the level of the Arkham series for Wonder Woman, it's going to take years. Like, let's say they announce it tomorrow. It's not going to come out for like a couple of years. So it's not like it's going to come out the next year, unless they had been working on it for like years past, which, as far as we know, that hasn't happened. That's the other thing about like the Wonder Woman game, why I knew was inevitably going to get pulled, because here's the thing about it. When a game gets announced and there's zero updates for 3 years, that's when you know, that's when you at least start to think, something's going on. I'm a little concerned. So when it was like there's no updates for 3 years, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. It's gonna get canceled any minute now. And then lo and behold, it was. Actually, I would think that she doesn't care about Brainiac and only wants to bring Diana back because she misses messing with her and ruining her day. That too, but I'm just saying it's like that way. It's like it's easier for like the audience to buy it. It's like, no, it's for self-preservation and stuff. And plus, you could go with the whole, but no, because here's the thing: if Brainiac destroys the world, Cersei also gets taken out as well. So like, so it's like you could go with that either way. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have about Wonder Woman, especially in like the Arkhamverse or like a Wonder Woman game, whatever you guys would like to talk about? Or they could do now. Here's the option I think is least likely to succeed. they could do a Wonder Woman game that's a prequel to Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. The problem with that is that you know where it inevitably leads. So it's like, okay. If you were to make a Wonder Woman game, which bosses would you add? Okay, so Grail would be the final boss. It would be a team up between Grail and Cersei. The first boss is going to be Gigantic, because I think she's a good training boss. Then you could have, I don't want the egg guy. I would say Dr. Psycho could be more of like a psychological one where like Diana goes through her own little insecurities because Psycho infiltrates her mind. Then you could have, what's another good one? Then you could have like Silver Swan briefly gets like mind controlled and stuff, so you could actually work with that. Cersei is the goddess of magic, depends on continuity. Brainiac can affect her existence. NJ, just go with it. And yes, he can, because if he can take, if this Brainiac can clone a Green Lantern ring, there's no limit to what he can do, NJ. But you could go with, I'm trying to, you would need the villain. Now, the next one would be Cheetah, but again, do the Cheetah that hates Diana. I'm sick and tired of the Rucka Cheetah. I call it the Rucka Cheetah because he's the only writer that does that, because he's the only writer that is like weird enough to go, yeah, I want Diana to be with the murderous cat lady. Like, no, I'm sorry. That is like honestly kind of icky. Cersei, yeah, King does it too. Yeah, exactly. Does it also include some of Diana's lesser villains as well? You could do that as like side villains. The main bosses are going to be like her main one. Like let me put it this way. You could have appearances of the other like villains, but it's like what you could do is have it where, yeah, the ship is so horrible. Yes, it is. It is very much so. And it started because of Rucka and Rebirth. You guys wonder why I did an entire stream and Wonder Woman Wednesday about why that run straight up sucks. But then you go, not as bad as the King run, but still pretty abysmal. And that's not really a like high bar in which to go with. But let's see what else. What else would I go with? So yeah, you could have all the other villains be like side characters, and then what you do is like, okay, so side characters. Then what you do is the main bosses are going to be like the big boss, like the ones that you use in marketing are going to be like the bosses that like everyone thinks of when they think of Wonder Woman. I'm speaking of my personal opinion, but I say a toxic Yuri ship, but I don't see. Here's the thing: I'm against Diana having any objectively toxic ships because I think that that's an insult. Personally, for me, I think that forcing her into like a toxic relationship is honestly against the character. That's all I'm going to say on that. And that's totally fine, NJ. We can have our disagreements on that. But I'm against this whole forcing characters into toxic ship things because I think it just doesn't work. But what else? What other questions do you guys want to ask about this stuff? Anything you guys want to know about? Anything at all, because it could be anything about like any of the. Now let's talk about honestly where I see Wonder Woman being in 2026. So let's talk about that. So I'm gonna change the heading real quick. Hang on, I gotta change. For some reason, StreamYard puts a timer on all this stuff. All right, here we go. Change. Here we go. All right, Wonder Woman 2026. All right. So first thing I see is either it's announced or he does leave. I think that King's run ends in 2026. which he would have had I think a 3-year run. So that's actually not that bad. And at the very least, we have like a bunch of Wonder Woman like trades and stuff, because I think the absolute version of Historia comes out the end of this year, which I have pre-ordered. It looks gorgeous. We have a bunch of like Wonder Woman trades coming out after March, right? Oh yeah, it would definitely be after March, because March is when he comes back. I'm gonna say mid to late is when we at least get the announcement, because that's when you're approaching the 80th anniversary of the character. So you would want to make an announcement like that around that time period. It still lines up, NJ, that it would be, I would say, issue 40 is the earliest I think he leaves. Earliest. Latest, I would say. See, here's the thing about the latest. Anything beyond that, I could see them saying, let him stay on until 50, so that they can start so that they can reach issue 50 and then like end the run on 50. That's why I'm saying do 40, because if they do it on 40, it's far enough away, and then it's like then you can do a cool like issue like that. I don't think now that they would do a rebooting on a number 1. Now, again, I could be very surprised. They could surprise me with that, and then we can actually it would actually be hilarious if they did restart with number 1, because it's like the other books, like the only book that has been restarted with a number 1 is Batman, even though that one sold really well. Yeah, and I do think I'm leaning more toward 40 right now, because Britt and I both agree that in all likelihood, the Wonder War is, as things stand now, going to be the last arc of his run. And we know it's 8 issues. So the way I think this is going to be lined up is that, let's see, is that 80 is that let's see, he starts back on 31, because 29 and 30 are the Stephanie Williams. Buy those issues, by the way. So issues 29 and 30 are not him, or Stephanie Williams. And then 31 to, okay, so 31 starts it. So that means it would end at 39. And then you could do 40. Either 40 launches the new run, or you could do 40 as like the final like aftermath of the Wonder War issue, where it shows that like, where does the Wonder Woman status quo lay after like at the end of the Wonder Woman war? Is Steve back? Does Trinity still exist? Hopefully not, on both counts. And then you can like adjust and then you could tell the next writer, here's where things stand, just go off of that. So there's like a lot of different like directions that they could go with the character. So there's a lot of like interesting places they could go. But anyway, so put your questions in the chat because it's gonna be a general Q&A about Wonder Woman in 2026, and then we'll go off of that. By the way, I will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I just have to go grab something. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So yeah, any questions that you guys have about Wonder Woman in 2026? We also have the next Black and Gold issue, which you know that like the reason why they're doing that is because the last one they did, if I remember correctly, let me pull that up because I have the last one. I got it for Christmas. Is the last Black and Gold was for the 80th anniversary. Heard with this 5 years. So it's like it makes sense that they would do like one of those. And here's the thing, people were taking insult at the fact that King is writing one of the stories, and I'm like, here's what you guys have to understand about this. Of course, the current Wonder Woman writer, hey, what's up, Tavia? Of course, the current Wonder Woman writer would be included in that. It's like if it were King, if it were Stephanie, if it were Jeremy, any writer would be invited to do that. So that's the one point that I have on that. My day is going fine, Savia. But yeah, but it's like, so we have that. We have a bunch of Wonder Woman books. I will say it's interesting that when Absolute Wonder Woman starts coming out and is doing like so well, that's when we get a bunch of reprints of like Wonder Woman on the buy getting announced, Wonder Woman trades getting announced. Because remember, Legal One is also being reprinted in a deluxe edition. So a lot of really well-known Wonder Woman stories are being like reprinted. And the timing is suspicious that it happens right after right after that. Isn't that interesting? Hippolyta and Julia coming back, considering the DC Wonder Woman casting and stuff would be near, and they want to. Yeah, honestly, for synergy purposes, it's not out of the realm of possibility, NJ, that they would do that. Because it's like, particularly if this is going to be a Wonder Woman that's existed but is early in her career, and especially if they want to use, like, let's say, George Perez as like a basis around it. So you could like put that in there and just go off of that and bring back like Julia, like at least feature Julia, Vanessa, and Hippolyta, and bring them back in the comics as well. So that's where I'm like, that is very realistic that would happen. That is very realistic. Yeah, but and yes, and Tevy, yes, Absolute Wonder Woman is the best like Wonder Woman book to be released like for a long time. What Arkham game would you say is your favorite? I would have to say Night, because I like driving around the city in the Batmobile. Will never not be cool. I'm sorry, that will never not be cool. And like being able to like that's like one of my absolute favorite, like, and it's like the sheer quantity of Batmobiles that you could drive around in is also awesome. So there's like a lot that they did with that game that I don't think they get the credit for that they absolutely deserve. Yeah, and it's like it's like there are like a few things here, but there are a few like interesting points there that I think would work really well. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have about like any other like Wonder Woman related content to come out? But yeah, it's like the other points here. It's like again. So thank Kelly Thompson for writing a damn good Wonder Woman book, because the more that comes out, the more good Wonder Woman books we have, and the more that they sell well. Inevitably, that's when DC starts to take better care of the character. The more I think about Suicide Squad Kill Justice League, personally, I think the game should have been about Wonder Woman. Yeah, I said that earlier before you came in, Tevye, because it's like when you look at it, I'm like, yeah, more of this is pretty much a Wonder Woman game whenever she shows up. So that's like a lot of the really interesting parts of like how that character was handled in the game. How is the Absolute Universe doing? Whether sales are being received well by fans? Sales wise, it still is pretty good. In terms of like perception of fans, some of it is getting like more lukewarm reception. Not necessarily Wonder Woman, but I'm talking about the other books. And I really feel like this is why DC should not have rested on their laurels when it comes to like Wonder Woman stuff, to like absolute stuff, and de-emphasize the mainline. Because here's the problem with that: you de-emphasize the mainline things, and inevitably, what are you gonna do when that like bubble pops? Because inevitably, the Absolute Universe is gonna like drop a little bit. So it's like, when you experience that drop and the absolute stops being your gold mine, what are you gonna do? I believe 26 years is you already get Hippolyta, 90% chance. I think it's a little high, but I'll give you that. And Julia back to synergy and marketing. I would say that would be very interesting. The other thing that I think would be interesting, the other way that you would get Diana back, I mean Hippolyta and Julia back, is if DC hard reboots. That's like the least likely scenario that I see right now currently. Could get more, but it's like currently it's like not as like big of a possibility, is what I'm saying. But so let's see what else. What else do you guys want to chat about? And then I'm gonna set up the poll for next week's episode. And then, by the way, on the 16th of this month, that's when I'm relaunching Athena, the Goddess of Thunder. So be on the lookout for that, because and it's going to be at a lower funding goal, so it makes it much more likely we'll get funded. So there you go on that. Fortunately, like any alternate universe, yeah, I don't think it's gonna see. Here's the thing, Tevia. I don't think it's not like it's gonna last long. I think like the sales like juggernaut part of it is going to maybe decline a little bit, and then when that happens and DC loses its golden boy, yeah, they're gonna have to figure out what are we gonna do without the absolute universe being that like absolute stellar thing. I know many hate reboots. We were talking about DC, and even I can't recount how many reboots we've had over the decades. Yeah, soft and hard. I think that like there have been like numerous reboots. And honestly, I would say, let me put it this way. Here's the thing about DC currently. They're taking a swing with those like next level books like Deathstroke, Jonah Hex, Lobo, and all those other books. Honestly, I don't see. Here's my prediction for the future. Those books are not going to last. And then, like, DC will do what DC always does and says, oh, yeah, they were always meant to be like solo issues to like, they were always meant to be many series. They were never going to be like that massive and stuff. And then it's like, then what they're going to do is they are going to like cancel those series, and then if the sales are that bad, which let's be honest could be that way, that's when I think hard reboot begins to be like discussed. And then it's like the hard reboot would wipe away everything since like all this stuff happened, and then bring back Hippolyta and Julia and Vanessa and stuff. Hippolyta can easily return 2026, even if we had more time, since she's in a goddess form, and she can return in multiple ways. Yeah, exactly. With a good pitch, yeah, exactly. As far as the Capitalis is, that's the interesting thing, because Julia has been dead for like so long. Now they could, I still think that like, yeah, they'll probably bring her back at some point, like maybe do like a reboot. Like what they could do is the time travel of Trinity ends up like bringing all these characters back that fans wanted as soon as they like end the run. That would be actually very interesting there. Kind of reminds me of Marvel and their methods with their character in series. Yeah, I mean, look at like the Emma Frost book first off, and then you well, the Emma Frost book is awesome, but look at like the Iron Frost books and like all the tie-ins for those, for like that one X-Men event, where like they're all 3-issue mini series. Like, what are you talking about? Like 3 issues for a mini? I have never seen that. That's one of the things I have never seen as like a thing there. Never seen that. So it's like, who honestly knows about that, honestly? But we'll see. So some of the Jeremy Adams Flash run when Wally West saved everyone from Heroes in Crisis and brought back these characters back, but Wonder Woman not a bad idea. Yeah, exactly. It's like That's a way that you could bring that back, and then like choose the characters that you want to bring back. Because here's my theory about how the Wonder War is going to end. They're going to get to the point where Diana is still killed by Matriarch, like in issue at the end of issue 19 when they show like that flash forward to the future. Trinity is gonna time travel to the past all the way to the very beginning, like maybe even like stop Emily from like going into that bar or like attacking that bar. And then what that does, that stops all of the events from happening, all the Amazons getting killed, all of that. All of that is undone easily. Now, here's the thing about that. It inevitably leads to, okay, then, does this wipe Trinity from continuity and give DC an excellent chance for the hard reboot? I do think it does. Because here's the thing. If you undo everything, Steve can say whatever he wants. Like, I'm going to make sure we have you. Yeah, but if you reboot the whole universe, well, not the whole universe. If you reboot, you're not going to remember it ever happened. So what are you talking about, bro? It's like, that's the thing about that. It's like, that is very much like, okay. I don't see that working. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have about this? This is why we all hate Steve. Yeah, exactly. Oh, so there are many reasons why we hate Steve, my good friend. There are plenty of reasons, Parker. Mainly because he's like milk toast. He's like the most bland love interest. So it's like with that time travel thing, that's when I think, because like time travel, you could say because time was slightly disrupted, it caused like stuff to be changed. You can even make this like this how old Steve comes in. But it's like, essentially what this does is like, let's say Julia is brought back and thus Vanessa's not evil or like in love with Diana for some reason. So it's not that. And then you have, let's see, then you have Trinity does not exist. Then you have Hippolyta. You can make it so Hippolyta comes back after that. So there's like a lot of different ways that you could take this story and direction. Like a lot of them, as a matter of fact. And all of them are valid. All of them work. Unless Trinity is a time paradox. No, they're not going to do that because she's not she's not a speedster. So there's different rules. You do not need that. And that, again, yeah, Tavia, that would make it much more complicated. But it's like the time paradox only works for Reverse Flash because of the speedster thing. Yeah, so it's like I very much doubt that for how that would like bring back like for like Trinity being a time paradox. Because here's the thing, if they were to keep any version of Trinity, it would be the baby Trinity, despite the bull sugar honey iced tea origin for it. Because here's the thing, they know they have admitted through King that they know that Trinity is unlikable. So they're not going to, I highly doubt, now they could do this, I highly doubt that they are going to keep the version of Trinity that everyone hates with a passion. There's no way. I believe in hope 2026 the year the mainline canon would be fixed. There, honestly, that is a very realistic hope, NJ. It could be very much that. And again, with Wonder Woman's 85th anniversary coming up this year, mind you, and you better believe that Britt and I on her anniversary day are going to do a big stream to celebrate her. You better believe that like DC is going to do something good with it. I highly doubt that they'll just let it go. We'll see about that. So many possibilities, to be honest, so many ways that they can go with this, but I suppose only time will tell. Yeah, there is. It's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, so let's wait and see where, like, let's see where we are as the year passes. And obviously we'll check in and stuff. And I've been waiting for ICV2 to post the sales for December so I could see how well let's be honest, how horribly the King Wonder Woman status quo and stuff sold well. So that'll be really interesting there. In fact, I'll check real quick. Let me see if anything has been posted by ICV2. Let's see. Nope, so far not. I'm wondering why is it taking them so long? Because normally they have this posted, but again, it's like so. They normally also post it on like, let's say Thursday, Friday. So we'll see this week. It'll most likely be this week that they like post it. So once we get that, that's when we can like go, okay, there you go. That's when we find out again how well this is selling, because it could be that like it's already in the 100s, and if it's in the 100s, if it's out of the top 100 sustainably, that is when we get rid of that is when DC actually makes the change. Actually, I realized something between Yara Flor and Trinity. Who is the popular? Yara Flor is the popular one. Trinity is the one that the Wonder Woman fan. Yara Flor is the one that everyone's like, no, you could keep her. You just need a good writer on her. Trinity is the one I have never seen in the history of myself covering DC Comics a character that has gotten so rejected like Trinity. Like no, unless you're a king like shill, I have never seen anyone say actually like this character as she stands. Like it's so bad that again, King would not have admitted that she is unlikable if the majority of fans actually liked her and it was like this big success. Her main book like completely collapsing. Like think about it this way. Her book started moderately well, and then it literally only went down from here, and it just like collapsed to the point where in November Trinity was in the 190th spot out of 200. So I'm like, it's going to be hilarious if like we get to like this, and this is the scenario. This is why I am kind of confident that DC will retcon her out completely, like no baby, no other version, because when you look at all of the attempts to make her a thing, it has either failed or pissed the fans off even more. So it's like if Trinity doesn't chart, that is very much like, because that's the run. That's the miniseries that's focusing exclusively on her character. Add on to that the fact that the Wonder War arc is focusing exclusively on adult Trinity. So when you add on to that, what that inevitably leads to, like, what that inevitably leads to is them having a real conversation. Because if because King knows that the fan base doesn't like Trinity, he has an opportunity to fix that. In all likelihood, he won't. But if, like, let's say he doesn't fix it, which let's be honest, when he doesn't fix it, and then we get like the rest of the last part of the run, and then it inevitably just destroys Trinity's reputation even more, that is when DC is like, okay, you know what? We tried this. It failed. Retcon her out. We don't need her. Because Wonder Woman does not need a child. Anyway, Brazilian Wonder Woman fans don't like Yara because they feel like their culture was misrepresented. Others like her, but she feels like she needs more development. Yeah, she needs more development. That's true. And okay, so let's let's do a poll about what next week's episode is going to be. Next week's episode. Okay, so next week's episode we're going to do, let's say for a run, since it's like the anniversary of Wonder Woman, I'm not sure if we did Wonder Woman 750, but I'll put that on there as an option. I think it was on here as like a option, like one of the weeks. And then we could do Wonder Woman Black and Gold. We could do, let's see. Sensation Comics. There's another Sensation Comics volume that I picked up. Can you please explain again how Wonder Woman War Arc can reboot her lore and bring it back? I will in a second, Angie. I'll do that. And then the last one that I think we should do, that I think would be fun. Oh wait, I'm just gonna do that. And Odyssey of the Amazons. Okay. Oh wait, that I put that in the wrong spot. And then Odyssey of the Amazons. Okay, here's what I mean by that. NJ, all right, so let me do that. Poll is posted. Go ahead and vote on YouTube. So here's what I mean by the reboot, NJ. What I mean is, no, not necessarily reboot. So in the Wonder War, so the story goes, at least, let's assume my theory is true. Here's what way I could see this going. So, and this is honestly, this is a very Tom King thing to do. So because we know that the Wonder War takes place during the future with Trinity and Diana. So Diana and Trinity teaming up. So what happens is throughout the run, what happens is there's the battle with the matriarch. Diana still dies, like she did at the end in issue 19 when you showed like the like flash forward and it shows Diana dead. And then Trinity goes back in time to make sure this future never happens, which inevitably leads to, like, there are a number of ways she could do this. Like, even you go back in time and then, like, stop Emily from, like, killing those people in that bar. Because remember, all this started was from that bar fight. And then what that allows you to do, you can ignore the Sovereign never existed. I mean, because here's the thing about that. When you undo that, yes, you do undo Steve's death, but here's the thing about that. That undoes Trinity. Because remember, Diana only made Trinity because Steve was dead. So King having Diana have this almost obsessive, like, thing for Steve Trevor, that honestly is our salvation, ironically, from this horrible character. So that's the way that essentially they could reboot this. This could also, yeah, exactly. This could also pave the way for the next creative team, because it's like you don't necessarily have to deal with anything in King's run, and you don't even have to go to the effort of undoing it because it's already been undone. So it's like, honestly, that is something that I could see to a degree happening. And it's something that I'm like, even Comic Pop had like theorized when they did the first trade of Tom King's Wonder Woman. They said that, like, I mean, Sal said, I would not be surprised if when this run ends, there is no Trinity, like she never existed. Like, that is something Tom King would do. So I think that would actually be like really, really cool there. Remind me again, but what do you think of Injustice Regime Wonder Woman again? I may have forgotten what you think of that version. Injustice Wonder Woman is the biggest insult to Wonder Woman ever, and it's also because of I forget the name of the studio that does Mortal Kombat. The point is, the Mortal Kombat studio has very big problem. Like, here's the thing about Injustice Wonder Woman, and I actually know what, if you guys want, I could also make that like our option for next week, like just like completely like dismantling Injustice Wonder Woman, and then we can start that list next week. Well, let me know what you guys think about that in another realm. Thank you, Tavia. But the thing about it is, Injustice 1, the story of Injustice 1 even the comics, not as bad as 2. Let me be clear on that. So now, when you get to Injustice 2, that's when NetherRealm had their own writers handle the storytelling of that. And it can also bring back Hippolyta and others, correct? I mean, it's not necessarily guaranteed, but you could do it where, because of the time travel thing, it breaks. There's like ripples and stuff, and that leads to certain things. So yeah, it could, NJ, it could very well. Same company that Butcher Sindell's character story. Exactly. And by Britt and I did an entire stream episode about that one, so go check that out. But yeah, but it's like they brought in their own writers, their own in-house writers to handle Injustice 2. And that's why all of a sudden Wonder Woman is a seductress that turns Superman evil. That's the key point here, ladies and gents. Speaking of evil versions of Wonder Woman, who's worse, Injustice or Flashpoint? Flashpoint is not evil. If you actually read the comics for Flashpoint, she's much better. It's like, ignore the Flashpoint movie Wonder Woman. So there's like a lot that I could do there. But so yeah, so let's see what's winning so far. 3-way tie. So 750 Black and Gold and Odyssey of the Amazons. So interesting. I blame the Flashpoint movie. You should. A Flashpoint movie is that one. Now, let me know in the chat if you guys would rather I cover like Flashpoint and Injustice Wonder Woman next week as one episode, and then do like those 4 comics on that to sort of give you guys as early as possible a refutation of the bullshit runs of Wonder Woman. Let me know about that. And then we'll start wrapping up. So for this week's content, for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I am going to be talking about Diana's role as a warrior and a diplomat, why like people misrepresent that or misunderstand that, and then talk about the need for the balance. And then for Under Two Capes, we'll probably end up talking about like what a Green Lantern Beyond could look like. I have to talk to Robert about that, but we'll see. And for movie night, I don't think we picked a movie night, so I gotta get with the guys to pick that to figure that out. But yeah, so what do you guys think? I think paving the way for the next creative team and for them to be able to tell a story of a new era of Wonder Woman's high chance. Yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think as far as like my plan to do this? In other words, the plan is next week I cover like Injustice and Flashpoint Wonder Woman in one stream to talk about it. And then we start on this list right here. In which case, I'll just take a picture of the list real quick. That way I have it here. There you go. So, yeah, I think I'll do that. So next week's what Amazon Answers is going to be about Injustice and Flashpoint. Talk about what the misconceptions about Flashpoint and the whole story about Injustice Wonder Woman. And then, yeah, so that's where I think we'll go. And then for Super Wonder Legacy on Saturday, this coming Saturday, is going to be a live stream. Britt and I are going to be comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Jor-El and Lara. Can you give me a percentage? Like a percentage of this happening? Percentage of the like time travel reboot thing? I would have to say 65% currently. Currently, from what I can see, 65%. Now, in terms of them being a time travel thing, that could go higher. I need to see like what King sets up for the like how King handles the Wonder War story. But so far, it's a 65% there. But anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs in a hydraulic press. Zois and Maxabat for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.